the last couple of days it's been raining really hard, so I've been doing kind of some inside stuff. So today I'm going to work on seeding some things that I didn't have a chance to do before because it's just not priority. Cilantro, dill, and bok choy. Cilantro and dill I don't have to have. I'm testing out growing things under lights in the house where I have a constant temperature, and that's been working really great. There's a little volunteer cilantro out in my greenhouse that is already bolting to seed, and so I just have problems with cilantro and dill bolting. So it's been working great in the house, so I think I'm gonna keep that going. But the way I had it set up was not working that great as for watering. So I just had one of these little salad mix tubs, and so I was having to try to kind of water around, not trying to get all the leaves wet. So this time what I did was I took some of these tubs and I drilled some holes in the bottom, and I can fit 3 of these easily. It's a little bit of a waste of space. They kind of jostle around a little bit, and I put it into one of these leak-proof trays. And so I'll go ahead and water on the top as the seeds are germinating, and then I can water along the edges, and that should bottom water these. Hopefully these little holes let the water in and that works out. So I'm giving that a try. I'm gonna do 2 tubs of cilantro, 1 tub of dill, and I may try and keep a succession of those going. The other thing that I wanted to do is get some bok choy going. As the slugs eat up my bok choy, I wanted to have some more of that going. So what I'm thinking about doing here is, these are little 3/4 inch plugs, soil block plugs, that I made a while ago and I didn't end up using them. And something that I had said, I was talking with my mom and I had said, gosh, I hate, taking the time out to, I'm in the middle of stuff and making new soil blocks, and then, I just wish it was, it kind of didn't interrupt the flow of work so much. And she said, well, can't you just make them all ahead of time and use them? But I was kind of concerned, like when they dry out like this, how easy are they to rehydrate? So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see if I can't get these 2 little plugs to rehydrate, and I'm gonna plant some bok choy in them. Now I know that these are really tiny for bok choy, but I just want them to kind of get going and then plant them and see how that works for that little crop, because I tried these, gosh, I can't remember. I know I tried kale and that didn't work, something else, and it actually worked really good. Oh, it was the Salanova lettuce that I used as little plugs to plant into the greenhouse. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try, see if I can't get this rehydrated. Okie dokie, just a few minutes and they are all the water sucked up pretty much, and that is pretty cool. I'm gonna plant some bok choy, and we're gonna just do 1 seed per cell. These seem to always germinate really well. Now what I have is 2, 4, 5 times 2, 4, 6, 8, 40 of these. I don't know if that's all I need, but yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick those in there, and then see if I can't just cover them, just poke them down and cover them up. Poke, 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 and cover them up like that. Okay, so I got the bok choy planted. This is just for the bed ends in the garden in the greenhouse to attract slugs away from other crops. And so that will be interesting to see how those go. I also have 1 2-inch soil block that I thought I would go ahead and try and see if this doesn't rehydrate, if you can't get a really big one to go. Oh boy, he's all wet. And there's a lot of water in the tub still. But, folks, that seems to work. Okay, done playing with the soil blocks, and for my tubs, I took a little piece of wood and put 5 grooves in each of these tubs. And then I just kind of thickly seeded the dill and the 2 tubs of cilantro. And I'm just using old seed because I want to use it up. I've got some dill, which works really well. They all germinated fine, so no big deal. And then I'm using up old cilantro seed as well. And so these are a couple that I didn't like as well. This is the Cruiser and the Santo. I mean, they're fine, but this Merino variety, it germinates more quickly and it also doesn't seem to bolt as quickly. So that was when I used it out in the garden. And these work. I did try that experiment of using culinary grade dill and cilantro. Neither of them germinated at the beginning. I did kind of broadcast them out in the greenhouse bed, and the dill eventually, like months later, whatever it was, finally came up, but the cilantro never did. For all I know, next year I'll have like a ton of cilantro plants coming up in that bed. But so I'm sticking with seed from Territorial that I'm getting, and I did order a bit more so that I can do a couple of plantings. So I'm just going to go ahead and pinch these guys in, do a quick rewater, and stick them underneath the lights in the house. I just pulled these guys out from underneath the lights, and this is the dill and cilantro that I seeded in the first round, and I cut them once, and this is the regrowth that I'm getting, which isn't bad. So it might be worth going ahead and cutting them and letting them grow again. So I'm out here in the cucumber greenhouse, which only has 6 cucumbers in it. But I've been noticing some slug damage that I need to take care of. They're mostly hitting the bok choy here at the bed ends, but they're also kind of starting to nibble on the radishes. They kind of just take a nibble and move on to the next one. So what I do out in the garden is I put a piece of wood down, wet wood, and they crawl under that during the day. That one's fine. But I haven't had as much luck in the greenhouses, and I think it's because the soil's probably a little bit drier, and so they don't really want to go hang out there. They have another little crawly, damp space they can go to. So I might go ahead and maybe wet the soil or something. I'm gonna need to kind of clear out a little bit around the bok choy first. Oh boy. That looks cozy, doesn't it? Nice little house. Go home during the day after you've been eating. Nice and moist and dark. I'm checking over here in the basil greenhouse, and I'm not seeing any damage at the bed ends on these bok choy. I seriously need to come and harvest this lettuce and stuff and pull out this bolting spinach, and also harvest this mustard because my #1 customer will eat that, but they're shading out my little bok choys in here. So the person I call my #1 customer is just somebody who's really chill about, like I don't have as much as I say I thought I had or whatever. And, he's kind of cool with that. So it's nice to be able to have somebody like that I can get stuff to. And I'm starting to have, which is way too much lettuce for Tyler and I. And like I said, he likes the mustard greens that I don't like. I've got some extra radishes I need to get out of there. And I've got mint in my pot out there. So Friday, the first week of June, I will be able to sell a little bit to him. And so I'll actually be selling for the first time, which is kind of cool. There's a little deer. Why does his butt look so weird? Shave and haircut. I'm going to cut some of this bok choy and pick this kale for the first time. to get the mustards at the end there. First, I'm going to clip this row of orach, and then I am going to clip these lettuces and then harvest this chard here and over here in this row. Okay folks, so this is my first sale of the season. Just a little box, and I've got 3 bags of lettuce mix, which is Salanova lettuce, spinach, baby chard, and a little bit of orach. And then we have some overwintered curly parsley, an Italian parsley, and our little perennial mint pot, 1 bunch of radish, and a bunch of mature mustard greens. And that is it for this first batch. Hi, I'm back in the house on the floor, and I'm going to make some soil blocks so I can seed some basil, my second and final succession of basil. And I was supposed to do this a couple weeks ago, but I was busy, and my basil is growing so slowly that I figured, what does it matter? Weather has been extra cold. It is a whole 53 degrees today outside, and we're still getting down into the 40s at night. I'm doing 2 seeds per cell because this is 2019 basil. Oh my gosh, these, I can't even tell. I gotta pay attention. I don't know how many seeds I put in each of these. The other reason I was putting off doing the basil is because it's supposed to, go in the second bed in the basil greenhouse, which is right now full of that really nice lettuce that I'm cutting from, and my stuff out in the garden isn't ready yet. So it's nice to be able to have that. But this will take, a month or something to germinate and grow big enough to go get planted out. So got to get started. So I was just buttoning up the fence here, and I looked down at my little sand pile here, and I see little tiny, this looks like hoof prints, little tiny deer hoof prints. Do you think? Little baby deer? It's a little tiny baby fawn. Here's another little buddy right by the garden. They're in completely different spots. Just sleeping. Hey you guys, so this is a long story that I'll try and make short. I saw those little hoof prints in the sand pile last night, and it looked like little baby hoof prints. And so anyway, I thought that's cool because last year we didn't see any little babies around here. And one of the chores I've been needing to get done is I've got these boards that I pulled from the original greenhouse back here. I pulled them out and put the trellis up. Anyway, long story. So they're old cruddy boards, and I was going to cut them up and turn them into, little boards that I could stick by the bok choy here at the bed ends. and then the slugs would go underneath it. I could check during the day and get the slugs and stuff. But you know, the cost of wood and everything, I was looking at those boards and thinking, gosh, I could use them for something else. And so I thought, well, you know, why don't I just do what I did in the greenhouse and at the bed in there, or, you know, just use some little pieces of wood that I find laying around and put them down in there. So I went out hunting around back here for some wood, and I ran into that little baby deer. And I thought, okay, well, there's that one, you know, I guess there it is, you know. Didn't even look like it was breathing. I'm like, is it dead? And it looks like there's bear poop around, and I'm just like, oh, Mom, come on, help out. And then anyway, so then I was walking along, right along, so that's way back, back behind the greenhouse, that direction. That's where that first little deer was. And then I was walking around here along the fence line, and that little baby deer is right over there. And anyway, so I was just like, I'm not gonna hunt around for wood anymore over there. So I left and I started hunting around for some other wood. But I've got some little pieces of wood down here by the Bok Choy now, and I've got everything on these bed ends and the bed ends at the other end of the garden. And so now I can kind of check. And I've got my slug boards along the outside of the fence line like I did last year. And I was gonna check them today and show you guys, look at my slug find, but I think I'm just gonna not go over there. And then it also makes me like nervous because at the end of June-ish, you know, we're supposed to have all this work done in here. But of course, those little guys will be bigger and wandering around by now. But I'm concerned about all the noise and stuff, and I hope it doesn't run them off. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's the end of my story. You know, the other thing I wanted to say is that my Bok Choy is doing so well and did really well last year that I'm kind of thinking that I ought to make it a main crop once I have more space, because it doesn't mind the cold, it grows, doesn't matter. And I like it well enough. It's something I can eat, something I could sell. So yeah, look at this Bok Choy, doing pretty jolly. Anyway, that's my story. That's the week, folks. You see little buddy sticking his head out? That is not a squirrel.